and welcome to another edition of the Mayor Dan Paletko Show. I'm really excited about who I have as my guest and what our topic is. And as my guest today, I have Pastor Ovella Davis, so
Yes.
Thank you for being a guest.
Thank you.
And we're going to talk about a project that she feels very passionate about and has been very involved with, and that's Students for Peace. And it's a program that I got introduced to just about a couple months ago when I went over to Robichaud as they were the winners of the first competition.
Yes.
So, Pastor, why don't you give us a little background as to what the program represents and how it came about?
Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to be here on your show, and thank you for what you've done to support our vision. The United Communities of America is a nonprofit organization. That's our 501c3, and we started in 2010 as a message campaign against violence. So initially, we were so inundated with the level of violence in our communities that as a pastor, I just felt that we should declare a message that may resonate beyond ceasefire or stop the violence. I felt very strong about sharing what God said, and God said, "Thou shalt not kill." And so we began with that as a message campaign over violence, and we were able to distribute a lot of billboards. We've done 46 billboards around the city that said, "God said, thou shalt not kill." T-shirts, wristbands, posters, just a ton of things to continue to declare the message over violence. And as we continue to move forward with that message, we begin to see that there were many people that were victims of violence, but they did not have an adequate event that would minister to their pain. So I decided to put together an event called the Citywide Night of Peace and Healing. And I chose a random date, which was October 22nd in 2010. And after we did the first Citywide Night of Peace and Healing, where we actually gathered families that were victims of violence to help them to turn that pain into power, people began to say, "Well, when are you going to do it again?" And I hadn't anticipated that either. And I said, "Well, the 22nd of next month, we'll do it." And so for 3 years, every 22nd, we would gather families that were victims of violence and help them to learn how to turn that pain into power, teach them principles of forgiveness, and we would move around from church to church. But I realized that a lot of the violence was not only in our communities, but it was very strong in schools, and it began to increase. And so we came up with a vision, I'll call the inspiration, called Students for Peace. And it would ask the students to engage in a nonviolent competition to teach them to devalue violence called Code 22. Says every 22nd day is the Citywide Day of Peace and Healing. And so when we got the program together, then we decided we have to make it an official day. So Mayor Dave Bean gave us our first proclamation declaring the 22nd of every month as a citywide no violence day. And as of this year, we thank you that as a result of Dearborn Heights and your support that you've given us a proclamation as well that declares the 22nd of every month as a citywide day of peace and healing in Dearborn Heights. So now that the 22nd is an official no violence day, we can implement the Students for Peace program into the Dearborn Heights schools. Robichaud was our first choice, and we brought the Students for Peace competition to them, which means that the 22nd has to be a no violence day, which means no violence, no bullying. And it's a program that actually encourages the students to devalue violence and promote peace, and to be creative about promoting peace. And the more creative they are, the more points they get. And it's a competition. So Robichaud and eCourse are competing this year in the competition, and Robichaud did win the November competition.
What I was very impressed by is the students have really bought into this program. So you get students who will get involved and stop bullying, stop violence amongst their peer group. And the amount of enthusiasm overwhelmed me. I mean, I've been to a lot of the schools with a lot of different programs, but that was the one thing, the energy, the amount of buy-in by the students really impressed me.
You know, if we really examine and take time to talk to students or to any human, no one loves violence. No one loves to see people to get hurt, beat up. You know, we've escalated to the point that we have murder in schools. The long impact and the effect that it has on us mentally. No one, I mean, they may find themselves engaged in it for self-defense purposes, or maybe it's a culture, but they're not really enjoying it. And so when they have an opportunity to experience peace, where it's not just one student trying to create peace, but the entire student body has agreed, we want to create peace, and then they experience what they create, then they want to continue to do it. And that's the beauty of it. It's like, if we can just get them to have one day of peace, then maybe the 23rd will be different than the 22nd. And so that's how we begin to implement the program, with that idea, just one day. And so they're working towards this one day, but in the process, they're experiencing what it is that they really want, and that's a culture of calm and a culture of peace. And it has been amazing for all of us here. I'm just as happy and surprised when the students come in and they're throwing up, this is their new sign, Code 22, because that's what Code 22 is. But to see what's happening to their academics, that they are beginning to increase, their student behavior is changing, increasing attendance, increasing test scores. This is what we need to do so that we can get our students in the best position for graduation. And so now that we have this, I'll call it a solution, our goal is to make Code 22 a national model.
Well, I have to thank you for everything that you've done and the whole process, because one of the things that, and I'd like to bring it to a couple other high schools, because the general public, unless you have students that are in the high schools or some family member, the schools are not like they were 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. They're completely different. And to have students be able to have an environment in which that violence and the bullying and stuff get separated allows them, like you indicated, to focus on studies, to focus on other activities that are positive. But now, one of the things you need to explain to me, because I know that there was a scoring system, because they're in competition with the high school and e-course. And so they get points if they do positive things. If there is a violence of some sort, a fight, then they lose points. And it became very apparent to me that they wanted to win. They felt very positive about what they were doing. And so how does that kind of work, the competition? You know, creativity is very important to young people, and they have tremendous ability to create if we put a demand on it. And so they come up with creative ways that they can earn points for peace. And they have done, I mean, Robichaud, they amaze me. So if you do something that we call over-the-top exceptional, it'll get you 500 points. They can do smaller things, like just put a post on your Facebook page that says, I love peace, or we need peace. So everything that's done, we have a review team, and we have to follow them with their scoring system. But Robichaud actually wrote the word peace on their football field for their homecoming game in both of the end zones. Of course, that got them 500 points because that was exceptional. So everyone that came to the game saw that peace was a concept that they were working on at the school. So the scoring system is just as you say. They can earn points by creative ways of presenting peace. If they have fights or suspensions, they lose points. And so now that they see, and that both schools starts with a level playing ground, because it's the 22nd, we start with 2,200 points. And you can add points to that for the whole month, or if there's fights and suspension, you lose points, and at the end of the month, we total them. And then we plan for a celebration as the one that you attended. Yeah, they were very proud to get the trophy, and they all got some pizza, but it just was fantastic. I know I had an opportunity to talk to the principal and said nothing but great things about the program, and it is so positive, and we're just appreciative that that high school in particular, and the Westwood school system, that has some extra challenges than some of my other high schools, but they're dealing with them, they're doing very well, and to allow them, the students, to become successful and leading to a successful adult life is just fantastic. And that's why I think you and the others that are working on this are really doing something very beneficial and touching a lot of people's hearts. Hopefully
I'm
they're
very-
taking this home too.
And that is the goal, that, you know, we want to get implementation in their home life, because we don't understand that the family is the foundation. It's a building block for the community, for the country, and there's a lot of brokenness there. And so we need the students to have this experience, and maybe they can go home and have an effect, an impact on their family life, on their community life. One of the aspects of Code 22, and there's actually 8 points to the code. So Code 22 in the schools means no fighting, no violence, no violence and no fighting, and no bullying, okay? But in your home, we're asking for the families on the 22nd that you honor Code 22 by having a family dinner, just the inner circle, not the Thanksgiving family, but just the inner circle home. On the 22nd, decide to have dinner together. You know, today the kids go to their room and everybody's eating wherever, but sit down together. How about you have dinner and talk about how we can make our home more peaceful? And so for the students to have this experience at school, and we're giving them some tools to work it in their home, then hopefully we can change the culture of their homes as well.
I grew up in an atmosphere where we all ate dinner at the same time, so as a family, and there wasn't as many things to interfere, let's say. But I know that when I go out and dine, a lot of times I see families dining, and while everybody's eating together, everybody's on a cell phone.
Exactly.
There is no interaction, and
Yes.
I find that to just be deplorable, because it was that interaction that I think bonded us as a family and as a community.
Yeah, those foundational, I'll call those foundational plans and places that we had in the family, that we went to church together,
Yes.
and we had dinner together, and we had prayer together. I mean, there were many things that were implemented that caused us to have a healthy home life, or somewhat healthy home life. And so with these challenges, you know, that's part of the Students for Peace program, that they have to interact. They have to sit down with teams, and they have to communicate with each other. What do we need to do so that we could outdo what we did last month? Okay, last month we put up a big poster, and so they have to be interactive one to another. But they use the social media as a way to communicate. But now we have them communicating about peace and about solutions for violence, than to be engaging in instigating violence, which we know that's major as well in our schools. And I also wanted to say, I really do have to acknowledge Principal Melanie Lurst of Robichaud High School. She has been an absolute angel. It's difficult to go into a school and to share a program that you don't have. We don't have a track record of 20 years or 10 years that we've done this. This is our sixth school. We've tried it in 4 schools before Robichaud and before E-Course, just as a pilot program. And I said, well, let's see if we can get the kids to stop for 30 days. So from the 22nd to the 22nd, we'll try it. And it worked. And I said, oh my, I wasn't prepared for the response. And so then I had a call from Highland Park High School, who, and this footage is on YouTube, where the principal actually had 91% of the students that had been suspended for fighting. And he heard about our Students for Peace program from River Rouge and Romulus, and he contacted me. And I said, well, yeah, I'll come in and try it again. And we tried it, and amazingly the same results happened. I had a competition between Emerson Elementary and Carver Academy, and both schools reported no violence for that month. But again, we didn't have the program written where we could carry it through an entire school year. So this year, we're prepared, and we're back into the schools. And when I went into Robichaud and talked with the principal, she's been so supportive. She has her whole staff standing behind the Students for Peace program. The Code 22, they wear their T-shirts on Mondays. The staff is encouraging the students, don't forget to wear your shirts, because it takes a buy-in from the entire student body as well as the staff. And that's really how come Robichaud just soared. It was Principal Melanie Lars. She was amazing.
Yeah, Westwood schools are very lucky to have her. And we can't say enough good things about what she's doing there.
Yes.
And so, which is just fantastic. So in addition to this, you're a pastor then, and
Yes, I
have
am.
all the duties and responsibilities connected with a local church?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I am the pastor of Always in Jesus Presence Ministries, and this year we'll be celebrating our 12th year.
Okay.
We are located in the city of Detroit, and our church is we're a very close-knit community church, and really the Thou Shalt Not Kill campaign, the Students for Peace campaign, is an outreach of our ministry. And I mean that by all of our members are engaged in helping me to push these programs forward in the schools and the community with the billboards, so it all works together.
Well, you're doing great God's work, and I just am so pleased that you accepted Robichaud School as one of the schools to do it, because we're seeing the impact of it. And I hate to say that a couple of the other high schools are getting more calls with my police department than Robichaud, and that wasn't the case. And so your positive effects are being shown, but I'm glad to hear, because I sensed it, that the camaraderie amongst the student body was very strong, and that the students bought into this, and that it is encouraging and allowing people to be educated, explore, increase their capabilities as they either move on to college or go in some vocational route. But it is a fantastic program.
Well, I thank you so much. I'm very proud of it. I'm very honored to be able to pilot such a thing. And our goal is to make the Students for Peace a national model, that we could take this across the country. One of the most amazing testimonies that I have is one of the young men at Robichaud High School. And I did not know that he was a problem student when I came in with the presentation, but he was very pessimistic. He was totally negative and against it, and he said, this is a waste of time, because students love to fight. They love violence, and Robichaud is not going to change. It's had this reputation for years, and I don't see how any of this can work. And I said, that's just fine. You just stick with me, and we're going to watch it work together. So when they won the competition, this is the gentleman on the front of the Telegram newspaper holding the trophy. And his response is that not only, and he was one of the students that was high suspensions, a troublemaker, a student that was fighting bullying, all of the things that would cause us to want to bring the program to the school. And he said in our meeting after the competition, after they won, he said, not only has this program made me a better student, but I am a better person because of Students for Peace.
Fantastic.
That's the reward. That is the reward.
Well, this is really good things that you're doing. How can we in the community offer help and support to you and your organization?
Thank you so much. First of all, our website, which is the acronyms for our organization is the United Communities of America. So our website is you have to put the word the UCOA, theucoa.org, and there you can view our website, you can view our work. There is a donate button on the website that we need donations. We are a 501c3 tax-exempt organization, and a great deal of the success of our program is that it is reward-driven. So every month we want to increase rewards and incentives to bring to the winning school. And we're looking for sponsors who want to help to support us by providing some of the rewards that we're presenting to the schools. We also have a Cash App, which is $ the UCOA. And that's it. It's just $ the UCOA. But that's how you can help. You can donate. People who may want to help to volunteer, because there's other work, of course, that's involved. You can volunteer via the website as well, theucoa.org. And for those that are on Facebook, you can look up Ovella Davis, and you can find me there easily as well. And thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm going to encourage our service organizations in the city, but I would tell my constituents, the people of Dearborn Heights, I've seen firsthand a contribution to this organization is making a difference, and I would certainly encourage you, if you got a little extra $1 or $2 and you're looking for a place to contribute, this is the place to contribute. So
thank you so much. Thank you.
I appreciated, did we cover everything, or is there something else you'd like to say?
I believe so. I'm just grateful for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to the competition continues until May. And then I believe, but from what I can see, we're probably going to be right back with Robichaud, because now that we have changed the culture through the students, they're telling me, but what about the ninth graders that'll come in next year? They won't be prepared. And I'm saying, well, we'll have to really look at that. But I believe we're going to be back, and we're going to stay in Dearborn Heights for another year. Yeah,
Thank you so much, and thank you for what you're doing. And Pastor, it really is, you should be very proud of you and your parishioners at your church for everything they're doing. And you've really changed a lot of people's lives at Robichaud, and I think that says more than anything.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
And to the residents of Dearborn Heights, keep in mind, if you want to make a contribution, I would certainly recommend that you do. And you might, if you don't have the dollars to contribute, volunteer time is very much appreciated. So thank you, Pastor, for talking about Students for Peace and what Code 22 is.
Yes.
And thank you, residents of Dearborn Heights, for watching another edition of the Mayor Dan Paletko Show.